you have to be careful when you say like the Fever fans, because I don't think it's the Fever fans. I think it's the people that wanted Caitlin Clark to be a certain type of way, and they thought that she was, and so they became Caitlin Clark fans, assuming that, and then they realized like, oh no, she's actually not racist.
Have you noticed what just occurred? The WNBA Finals MVP Jonquil Jones just defended Caitlin Clark from a barrage of hatred. Yes, you read correctly, a superstar standing up for someone she has never, ever faced. This is where things start to get interesting, though. Jones did more than stand up for Clark. She criticized the media circus as a whole for distorting the facts.
They want a player to say the wrong thing, because that is realistically what has caused all the crazy stuff.
Perhaps you're asking yourself, what's the big deal? Hold on tight, because we're going to show you how the remarks of one player could alter your entire understanding of the Caitlin Clark and Indiana fan issue. Labels have been applied to that fan base by WNBA players and WNBA media during the season. You won't believe the person who recently entered the turmoil surrounding Caitlin Clark. The WNBA Finals MVP, Jonquil Jones, is causing a stir with her unexpected remarks. Jones is a celebrity in her own right and not just any player, and now she is speaking up in favor of someone she has never even seen in court. This contentious subject was posed to Jonquil Jones in a recent interview on the Pivot podcast. One of the top hoopers in the whole WNBA, Alyssa Thomas, does just about everything. She was vocal about her opposition to racism during the playoffs. The Fever fans were clearly being the Fever fans while they were playing. I also like that she was prepared to denounce racism in front of the media. I've told you what it is she added, and now it's on the officials. Have you ever encountered such things before? The problem is that Jones made a statement that has everyone talking. Her support was more than a token gesture. Instead, she went all out, criticizing the whole circus of the media that was centered around Clark. Is it not unbelievable? To defend a college star, a top player in the league, is putting her reputation at jeopardy. Why is this important, you may be wondering? Hold on, though, because things are going to get serious. Many of Clark's supporters merely want to help her, Jones noted. However, some individuals are distorting that support in an unflattering way. I said, she said. I don't know, but it seems like I believe many of the fans, including Caitlin Clark supporters, wanted to get hold of Caitlin Clark and then use her as, I suppose, this fuel to make things the way they wanted them to be, you know. They want her to be the face of their bigotry and, you know, their worldview, which is why I believe there was such a strong pushback when she liked the entire Taylor Swift tweet urging people to vote for Kamala Harris. Jones didn't stop there, though. She criticized Clark and her supporters for being unfairly labeled. She made it very evident that we cannot evaluate a whole fan base based on the behavior of a few disruptive individuals. I think you have to be careful when you say, like, the Fever fans, Jones added. Since I don't believe the Fever fans are to blame, I believe it's the folks that believe Caitlin Clark was the kind of person they wanted her to be. They presumably became admirers of Caitlin Clark as a result. Subsequently, they came to the realization that, in fact, she is not racist. As a result, they must now sort of go back and look for someone else who can somewhat represent how they feel. However, that shouldn't be a problem for any gamers. No player should ever feel as though their life is in jeopardy or that they are the target of someone who wants to hurt them due to the color of their skin or in any other way. Therefore, it's absurd that they have to cope with your undoubtedly wondering what Jones said that shocked you the most. Here it is then. She openly stood up for Clark when he was accused of racism. Jones didn't hold back when he said Caitlin Clark is not racist coming from a player like Jones. That's significant. There's more, though. Jones did more than stand up for Clark. She demanded that the WNBA change. I said, she said, nobody likes to play in a scenario like that, so I hope the WNBA straightens things out and makes sure everything is in order. It's unfair to the players, in my opinion. She is advocating for a better playing environment for all players by using her platform. You're probably wondering what comes next at this point. It gets even more crazy, so fasten your seatbelt. The repercussions is barely getting started after Jones's remarks ignited a firestorm. We're going to witness how the bravery of a single player can rock the basketball world. Let's zoom out and examine the wider picture now that Jones has stirred things up. I assume you've read the headlines regarding Caitlin Clark. Here's the big question, though. Are you being played or are you receiving the whole story? Basketball isn't the only topic of the media circus surrounding Clark anymore. It has grown into something far more significant and contentious. Let's examine the true nature of the media coverage. Even though you've seen all those eye-catching headlines, they're not telling you this. It goes beyond Caitlin Clark's incredible on-court abilities. No, it's all about views, clicks, and creating a fuss. It's getting out of control because some outlets are stoking the flames, even though the TV ratings are skyrocketing. So much effort has gone into such a fringe endeavor. The level of attendance is really high. The players are giving it power, and the media is giving it power and talking about it at a degree that is out of proportion to the actual stories. Those are genuine numbers, not what some random moron is saying, which we then give all the power to. It's also annoying. Perhaps you're asking yourself, isn't this just typical sports drama? Well, reconsider. This goes well beyond the usual debates surrounding athletes. The focus of the story has changed from Clark's amazing basketball abilities to outrageous allegations of racism. But is it not unbelievable? We're discussing her performances that broke records 1 minute, and then it's all allegations and finger pointing. I believe it is unfair to label an entire fan base because so much effort has been poured into something that cannot be won, and to behave as though what we witnessed in the WNBA is an example of racism. This is when things really get intriguing. The WNBA standout Jonquil Jones pointed out this same issue. She claimed that the real narrative is being obscured by the media's emphasis on charges and disparaging remarks. What is the actual story? The incredible expansion of women's basketball. Jones said that attendance and TV ratings are growing, but are we hearing about that? Not nearly enough. Why would the media present Clark's narrative in this way, you ask? It's easy, actually. Controversy sells. Here's the problem, though. True basketball aficionados are upset about it. They are being branded as something they are not, even if all they want to do is cheer for their favorite athlete. When Jones cautioned against categorizing entire fan bases based on a few rotten apples, she said it best. There's more, though. And the intensity is just going to increase. These days, the media does more than just cover the news. As with the Taylor Swift affair, they are influencing it, and it's risky territory. We're seeing firsthand how a few disparaging remarks may overshadow all the good things that are occurring in women's basketball. By the time the message reaches us, it has been utterly distorted, as if the media were engaging in a game of telephone. The big question is now, how can we find the truth amidst all of this noise? Recognizing when we are being given a skewed narrative is the first step, though it is not an easy one. And we're going to get right into that next, because Caitlin Clark is no longer the only focus of this. It concerns how we discuss the future of women's basketball. Let's discuss Clark's admirers and the outrageous charges that are being made. People have accused them of racism, but is it really accurate? Consider it. The majority of these supporters simply adore excellent basketball. They're not there to stir things up. Simply said, they are thrilled to watch a fantastic player perform remarkable feats on the court. This is where things start to get interesting, though. Some are taking advantage of the entire scenario to further their personal goals. They are portraying the entire fan base as corrupt by highlighting a few bad actors. In addition to being untrue, that isn't cool. However, the person in question has stated unequivocally that Fever fans are racist. You may be asking yourself, all right, but what about all those racist remarks I've seen? Let's examine it more closely. It turns out that only a tiny percentage of fans might be causing problems. However, it can give the impression that there are considerably more of them than there actually are when they are all talking nonstop on Twitter. Assume that there are 1 million fans of Fever. In actuality, there may have been 5,000 racist supporters present when Caitlin Clark entered the room. The issue is that 5,000 is a negligible portion of 1 million. Is it not unbelievable? That kind of loudness can only be produced by a few thousand people. It can appear as though there are tens of thousands of troublemakers in the world if they all tweet frequently enough. However, that isn't the truth. A small group is creating a lot of noise. However, if each of those 5,000 users tweets 100 times, the 5,000 users may appear to be 100,000. As you can see, this man is essentially racist, much like Fever followers. He has already made up his mind and is asking Jonquil Jones a question from that point of view, which is where many of the ignorant opinions originate, when the truth is that the percentage is likely only 5%, which is still clearly excessive. That's obviously incorrect. Why, therefore, are some individuals accusing Caitlin Clark's supporters of racism? The reason is that they are succumbing to this delusion. They believe that everyone who supports Clark is represented by all of these tweets. However, that is completely unfair. The overwhelming majority of Clark's supporters are there solely to see the incredible basketball Jones made playing. From a distance of 30 feet, they adore watching her sink those amazing shots. And that's okay. Finally, someone said facts show there were few racists, which is happening, and their numbers declined as the season went on. Some weren't even basketball fans. Many Twitter users were racist. You know what? Caitlin Clark spoke for herself. Those who are causing trouble aren't real fans at all, she stated bluntly. She referred to them as trolls. It's critical to comprehend that there is a significant distinction. Stay tuned because we're going to expose the truth about these assertions. It goes beyond merely standing up for Clark or her supporters. It's important to comprehend how social media might distort. Additionally, it involves identifying instances in which a small number of disruptive individuals are being employed to fabricate an image of a much bigger, fervent fan base. What's the true story here? It's about fantastic basketball and the ardent supporters. That's it. The true story of the controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark. It's incredible how much this has upended women's basketball, igniting discussions about player expectations, media attention, and respect. Spread negativity about a group since it will only hurt them. If you irritate enough people, they may become what you think. My biggest complaint about this issue is that if you constantly bringing up the negatives, someone can say, fuck this, I'll do it. Despite rationality, this isn't helping because a decent person won't. Jonquil Jones went beyond defending Clark. She made us reevaluate our support for women's sports. This game has many players. It concerns the game's future and influential viewpoints. When people call Caitlin Clark fans CLAN, I say you have literally done the worst thing you can do. Using a few thousand people's conduct to generalize hundreds of thousands or millions is ludicrous and stupid. It's one of the worst things you can do. It's ridiculous. And I applaud Jonquil Jones for clarifying that a certain demographic was drawn to Caitlin Clark because they thought she represented something she didn't, and now they don't because she doesn't. They now know she won't tolerate that. You may be wondering what's next.